Alright, we're gonna give this one a go. Starting out with some insulation here. And I got these stilts. I want to say I paid $50 for them, and they're well worth it. Makes this job so much easier. Even if I was doing some like wiring in the ceiling, I'd use these stilts for that. Pretty easy to walk around in. And I don't know, you can learn how to use them pretty quick, I think. Just cutting out around the box there. Above here is like a little attic. It's like a story and a half, so the attic only goes probably 6 feet into the house, and then it's above there would be conditioned space, so I don't really have to go the full length with the insulation. Yeah. Yeah, the trick with using these stilts is have all the material up high where you can reach it. Obviously, you don't want stuff on the floor. It's going to make it more difficult. You can set up some sawhorses and a little table, and then just grab your material, or if you got the money, just buy a little baker scaffold. You can roll it around with you, and then you can sit on it when you need to take off your stilts, or like I do, just use a little step ladder there. Getting her above the little toilet area. All right, now here, so I only have a couple sheets to hang on the ceiling, so I didn't rent or buy a ceiling lift. I just made these little T-braces. They work pretty good. I want to say my total height of those is about an inch less than the ceiling height would be with a piece of 1/2-inch sheetrock on it. So you don't want them tight, but you want them snug enough so they don't slide around once you get them in place. And so if they're completely up and down perpendicular, they're not tight against the ceiling, but they got a little bit of wiggle room, and then you can kind of shimmy the sheet around if you have to, because you don't want it so tight. So you can see there I'm kind of shimmying it, and that I probably could have went another 1/2 inch longer on that one T-brace. You saw it kind of fell when I jiggled the sheet around, and then you can see where I'm picking up on the edge there, and it helps kind of move it around into place. And once I'm sure I've got everything kind of where I want it, then I can start running the screws in there. And obviously you want to mark out anywhere you've got like a ceiling light or something. Take some measurements beforehand. And I'm just getting it started, so it's got something to kind of help hold it up, and then I move my brace out of the way for my ceiling light. I'm just marking out the ceiling light right there. Kind of try to find the center, and then I pop it in, run it to the edge, then raise up around the lip of it and go counterclockwise. And then the roto zip kind of traces the outlet, or the mud ring part of the outlet. And then I just use my little T-square to mark the joists on there, because I'm not a pro. And I don't mind taking a little extra time, You can imagine how much time that would take if I was on a ladder, just repositioning it all the time. There, I can just walk up to it and just right down the line, zip my screws in. It's a big time saver. I'm just removing the temp light since I'm going to be putting a piece of sheetrock right there. And then I kind of tuck the wires out of the way so my roto zip, the blade of my roto zip doesn't skin up the wires. And then I'm actually going to take that temp light and move it over to the other location since I have that sheet up. And this is a great way of getting lighting on the job instead of hanging extension cords and putting up them goofy halogen lights that you end up tripping over. You've already got electrical wiring in the walls and stuff, so why not use it? And usually I'll just I take a couple wire nuts and I splice where the switch would be so the lighting outlet is hot all the time, and then when I want to turn a light on or off, I just screw the bulb in or out, real gently. I don't get it super tight since I'm usually just reaching up with one hand and twisting it. And that's my makeshift way of having a light switch. Just twist the bulb in or out. And it speeds up things too, because then I don't have a switch in there where I'm working around it with the sheetrock. I can just hang my sheetrock and there's minimal things in the way. This sheet, is going above the shower, so it's got a few cutouts to it. Once again, the T-square coming out, pretty handy tool to have. I mean, it's pretty much a must, I think, if you're going to be doing sheetrock. You can kind of see in the existing house, I tried to leave up as much sheetrock as I could. Really no sense in, I guess I could have tore it down to the studs with everything. I don't know if I would have came out ahead or not. It definitely sped up things on this process since I'm not doing the entire house, but I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know which way would have been better, but it's kind of what I did. You can see the bottom there by the window. I only went up like 2 feet, cut that out so I could add receptacles and stuff and tear out the old crappy wiring. I want to say it was like 2-wire cloth Romex without a ground, so I put in updated wiring with the grounded wiring, I guess. You can see this piece is kind of a little bit of a struggle. But once again, those little T-braces are going to come in handy here. It's an extra arm. There you go. And then I can kind of got them up there. I can kind of jockey it around while the braces are kind of holding it. I think I had to trim a little bit on the back side to get it to fit. Or at least to get the tapered ends of the sheetrock to kind of not be so snug. There we go. And that one's going to go in. A little bit of a space around against your wall so that when you run your screws up on the edges, it doesn't bust the sheetrock. A lot of up and down on that ladder. That's one thing I've noticed after videotaping myself working is I do not work very smooth and seamless. It's like I'm going up and down ladders, up and down, back and forth, back and forth. I must do everything like 3 or 4 times over. I don't know what it is, if it's OCD or what. There's that light above the shower. Notice every time I do a receptacle or a electrical box, I'm always going in counterclockwise. There's kind of a reason for that. Your rotozip blades, I want to say it spins in a clockwise manner. So as you're going around the box, if you go counterclockwise, the spiral bit tends to hug the box. And if you're going clockwise around the outlet, the bit would try to wander away from it. So it works to your advantage to go counterclockwise. It's a little more difficult to screw it up and get a much larger hole than you need. This way it just pretty much traces it, and then you got like an 1/8 of an inch space between your box and the cutout, which is about perfect. And then of course as soon as I get that sheet up, I go put my pigtail light up there, and then we got lights again. Just kind of keeps the lights out of the way. And like I said, you're not tripping on an extension cord or worrying about any of that. You got light above you. I can do all my taping and mudding and painting and whatever I need to do. And then at the very end of the job, take them down and put up the permanent fixtures. Otherwise, you got those halogen lights, you're always moving them. You'll be moving them constantly. So I just, obviously being an electrician, this is how we do it, but I like this. I mean, this is the way to do it, I think. And those lights are pretty cheap. At least they used to be cheap. Now I think they're like $5 a piece, which kind of sucks when I have to buy 1 or 2. But I usually keep a box of them on hand, and anytime I'm doing these projects, I just bring the whole box over, and once I get my lighting roughed in, I hang a bunch of pigtail lights. Here I got a little cutout for an exhaust fan above the little toilet area. I don't think I have a light back there, but you got a window, so So there's plenty of light, but you get a little bit of privacy, you know. And then there'll be a light above the vanity. You can kind of see it right behind that plumbing vent pipe going up there. There'll be a light on the vanity there, and then one above the shower, and then one kind of above the laundry area. So 3 lights in the bathroom, plus 2 windows, so should have a decent amount of light. Now just doing some green board by the shower. This one's going to be a corner shower here. I think this is the first part you'll see the ceiling is actually 8 feet. I want to say like 8 foot 4 inches. So 2 4-foot sheets don't quite make it, so I leave a little gap. I'll put the first sheet tight up to the ceiling, and then the second sheet will be like a 1/4 inch off the floor, and then I'll have a 4-inch gap between them, and I'll be filling that in with like a 3/8 inch strip. The sheetrock on the wall is 1/2 inch, so my strip is going to be 3/8, so that I can kind of fill in the beveled edge. You know, if I was using 1/2 inch strip in between there, it would kind of stick, it would kind of protrude a little bit, and I don't want to have that joint as wide, you know, with mud, so that's why I go a little narrower with a 3/8 inch strip, so I can just use the minimum amount and fill it in. Because I want to say right at the edge of that taper, it's probably closer to 3/8 of an inch anyways, so. But anyways. Oh yeah, here I'm cutting out for an outlet. And it's kind of, the box kind of sticks a little proud. It's 1.5 inches. It's tight up against the brick, and so I'm kind of having to router out, gouge out the back side of that sheetrock so that it kind of fits a little better. Otherwise that box is sticking proud of the 2x4s and whatnot. Yeah, I want to say I had to shave off a good 1/4 of an inch back there to just kind of make it work. And they really don't have any narrower box than 1.5 inches. At least not at Menards. So I think they might even make an 1.25 inch box, but I just made it work. Here's the kitchen wall with cabinets are going on this wall, so you want to make these walls flat and true as you can, because when you start hanging cabinets and you get a wavy wall, it's just going to make it so much more difficult to make your cabinets come out looking right. So spend a little more time here. Use them cardboard drywall shims and like a 6-foot level to kind of find out where your low spots are, and then fill them in with shim. Try and get it as flat of a surface as you can. Doesn't take a whole lot of extra time. See, we're already ready for a piece of sheetrock. And then there's that crown molding I left intact from the very beginning, so I should have a space I can slide my sheetrock behind it. Go all the way tight to the ceiling, or as tight as I can. So there we go. Just checking the location of the box on the back side. Routering out. I want to say that was for a switched receptacle for a light above the sink since there's no window there. Even if there was a window there, I'd still want a light above the sink. Just cutting out for the doorway. I wonder if I must have hung these sheets about 4 inches down from the ceiling because I don't see that gap. It must have been what it was. I guess there's nothing that says I had to go tight with the sheetrock up to the ceiling since I had that crown molding there. I could bring them down, save myself the extra work with that 4-inch strip, filler strip. At least in one part of the house. Looks like the drain pipe for the sink. Must be receptacle for the dishwasher / disposal. I usually don't put disposals in, but I rough it in electrically for that ability in the future. I personally can't stand garbage disposals, but I put the wiring there for the next person because it's easy to do it now. At least I think I did it for a disposal. I don't see a box for a switch there. Maybe I didn't. Oh well. They could fish it in from the basement pretty easily if they wanted to add that in the future, since basement is obviously not finished. Then I got countertop receptacle on the right, and the receptacle on the left is for a refrigerator. Alright, here we go, the wall with the stove. Marking out the studs on the floor so it's easier to know where they are. I'm checking the studs for flat. You can see there's one of them sticking out pretty good. shoes are terrible. Hurts my back just looking at it. Using the power planer to shave down some of that stud that was sticking out so far. Instead of shimming out everything around it, I just took the planer and shaved that one down. Another sheet. Looks like the outlet for the stove. At this point, I like to try and use a cart wherever I can, since I can roll it around on the job. Now I got a nice smooth subfloor. Gets kind of old bending over all the time for tools, so as soon as I can use a cart, I like to bring one out and use it. Of course, I'm still on my knees there. Can't get away from it all the time. And here's the wall for the washer and dryer. Dryer goes on the left, washer on the right. Looks like I got some OSB, some 1/2-inch OSB, basically furring out those studs, so the wall is 4 inches deep instead of 3.5. I want to say I probably had to do that for the plumbing. Or actually, no, it was for the dryer vent, because the dryer vent's 4-inch. Probably should have just used some 2x6s there. But I think I had all that roughed in before I took the drywall off of the back side, or decided I was going to take the drywall off the back side all the way. So that's probably why I didn't replace the studs with 2x6s from the beginning. You can see I got the 8'4" ceiling, so I got the little 4-inch gap between the sheets. I want to say I just bought a 4x8 sheet of 3/8" drywall for filling in all those gaps, and I think that got me through all of the house. There's a little pocket door, or the wall with a pocket door. That was quite a challenge installing that. It was time consuming, getting everything dialed in just right. pretty much had to put a pocket door in this going into that bedroom because it's so narrow. You really couldn't have a traditional door. Here's a little toilet enclosure area, or privacy wall, whatever you want to call it. Let's see, right there I got a switch for the exhaust fan above. Nice convenient spot in case you forget to turn it on before you sit down. Or before you're heading in the shower, just reach over and turn it on. I'm just cutting out some excess drywall. Instead of trying to patch everything in, I'm just going to go full sheet from the door jamb to the corner. And then the top one I can use a little shorter piece, but instead of trying to make all these weird cuts, it's easier just to go sheet, square to square. Put a little backer in to attach that piece. Making some shims here to go above that header. Fill that in kind of. And give the sheetrock kind of a nailing surface. Just kind of boxing around these. I don't know if you really want to call them a column or whatever, but it's kind of like a support column, I guess. Guess I didn't sweep it good enough the first time. Adding a little foam down there to cut down on any drafts. Since under there is kind of like a little inaccessible crawl space, I guess. It's kind of where the front porch originally was, so it doesn't really have the basement there. And looks like I need one more piece on the ceiling there. That's about it for this one.